So it's a programme that's been specifically designed for teachers, teachers and education staff who work with children and young people, school age right up to adult age, post 16. So it's a mindfulness and compassion programme. So it's got compassion running all through all the learning outcomes. And we start off by teaching the teaching staff, whether they're teachers with their own classroom or perhaps a pastoral role or a head of year. So it's open to anybody in the school, TAs as well. And we teach them to practice mindfulness themselves initially, to understand some of the theory behind it, some of the philosophy, and to start to embed it into their daily life. And then when that's embedded, and that we do that over 14 hours, then we start to talk about how they can take that practice into their work and use it with the children and young people that they've got to know so well. I want the staff to be compassionate to the needs of themselves, of each other, and most of all the children and young people that they're teaching and supporting.
Yeah, it really helped me, especially with situations in school and outside as well. And the girls have noticed it with me, which for me, I didn't notice anything, to be fair. I thought I was just myself, I don't know, but now I've actually realised that actually it did work for me.
It's very useful. Well, I found it particularly useful with the work that I do, because being a sensory specialist, it sort of all links in, because it's all linked as well to intensive interaction and the way they perceive things. So that adds another layer to it. It embeds it more into everything else then.
It will just help them become more resilient. So if they're facing a challenge or something that's very difficult to them, they can just think, well, I'm just going to take a minute, or I'm just going to take some breaths and notice where I am. We did a body scan last week. One of the children said, I was so relaxed, I'm going to try it at bedtime because I find it really hard to go to sleep. And she did, and she said she slept really well. And you would not hope that an 8-year-old had trouble sleeping, but they do. And that really helped her. So hopefully that even, that one bit of teaching will really help her.
Yeah, I think all the teachers and staff from education that I've taught have really said that it's helped them to recognise when they're stressed and what their stress triggers are and how they behave when they're stressed and the impact that has on the children and young people that they support.
For example, I've got a parent at the moment, I won't say her name, but who I'm absolutely desperate for her to have some training in mindfulness, because a lot of the things she says to me is very repetitive, and she's going through the same circular things the whole time, saying the same things to us every sort of 6 months. And I really feel that if she could actually learn some mindfulness techniques, it would really help her.
I think it benefits everyone. Some of the children I thought wouldn't take any of it on board, and actually I was quite surprised that they all wanted to have a go and try it.
I've seen a much more positive focus from quite a lot of staff who might have focused on the negative previously, and they're now more mindful of the things that they're saying, and will talk about how they've really benefited from the programme.
I've got one young man with a very tricky situation at home, and he's seen me a few times at lunch, and we have stopped and we have done the exercise one-to-one where we just sat and said, I'm okay, I'm safe now. And gave him 10-15 minutes of just, and also the compassion and the time, the adult time of I am with you and you're going to be okay, and breathing, and then moving him on.
One of the learners, he came in, he was poorly, he's non-verbal. He decided that he was going to upset people by pushing them over and things like that, and for me to take him into the corner to sort of like sit with him and that did calm him down, and I was praised for it because usually it takes him twice as long to calm down, but using that technique helped him to be levelled.
Well, I know that there's one teaching assistant in particular who has come on her own and talked about the significant impact that this has had on her own well-being, and the fact that then she is then able to manage the children better and her own personal life better. So that's been a really positive feedback from the course.
Yes, without a shadow of a doubt to anyone. It was a really good programme, it's really informative, it's really interactive, and I'm not one of those people that really likes to do interactive things, but actually when you're doing the practice, you're trying stuff out and you're noticing how it's affecting you, it's much easier then to teach to others because you've been through it yourself. It's definitely worth doing the programme.
Oh, definitely. Whether it's for yourself, if you are in, I'm sure if you work with people, you need that kind of, training enough. I saw it as well as a kind of training, a tool to cope with people and life. And if you work with people, definitely. With young people, even more.
I would highly recommend this course to other professionals and colleagues because although we're very at the early stages, the impact with the staff that we've had, we've already seen the benefits, and I can only see that continuing to grow. The more that we raise the profile of mindfulness within school and the more that it's rolled out amongst the children.